Welcome everyone, good Erev Shabbos, as we learn the special segment called For the Shabbos Table, dedicated graciously by the Rubin family, who are co-sponsors now of this segment, with the tefillah that they should be zeicher to a healthy Ben Zachar, and for Hatzlach and Ruchnius and Gashmias. And the co-sponsor is a wonderful woman who is sponsoring this shir for wonderful shidduchim for her two daughters, quickly and easily. Vayan Yoshua ben Nun, Mishares Moshe Mibachurav, Yoshua ben Nun, who attended Moshe from his youth, Vayomer, and he said, Adoni Moshe Klein, my master Moshe, either incarcerate them or destroy them, speaking about Eldad and Medad. The Gemara in Eruvin says that Yeshua was punished for this, because making a statement kloim in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu was tantamount to moira halacha b'fnei rabbi, to making a decision in the presence of his Rebbe. The Gemara in Brachos tells us that moira halacha b'fnei rabbi is a capital offense. And the Gemara in Eruvin actually says that, it's Gemara in Eruvin on Samak Gimel Amid Beis, that Yeshua was punished to not have children, or at least not to have sons. Shh. Reb Henoch Leibowitz, the Rosh Yeshiva of Chavetz Chaim Yeshiva, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, he asks that the Mefarshim tell us that Yeshua's tain on Eldad and Medad is that when Eldad and Medad said Moshe Mace and Yeshua Machnas, when they announced their independent nevuah that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to pass away, and Yeshua Machnas, and Yeshua will bring it into the Yidden into Eretz Yisrael, Eldad and Medad were guilty of being Meira Halacha B'fnei Rabbi. And that's why he said, Adoni Moshe Klei. Asks Reb Henoch, how could it be that Yeshua, who was just accusing Eldad and Medad about Meira Halacha B'fnei Rabbi, would himself make a mistake of Meira Halacha B'fnei Rabbi and say, Adoni Moshe Klei? It's really an irony. If Yeshua's tying on Eldad and Medad was that they were Meira Halacha B'fnei Rabbi, when they said Moshe Mace, Yeshua Machnes, how could Yeshua make the same mistake and say Adoni Moshe Klei in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu? So Rav Henoch says a scary answer. Rav Henoch says that in the kanois of defending his Rebbe's honor, he made the same mistake that he was accusing them of. That's what happens when a person in zealousness does something. They sometimes in the haste forget. And he brings as an example Moshe Rabbeinu himself. Moshe Rabbeinu himself, when Shevet Levi started to get involved in the Adas Korach, Moshe Rabbeinu, in his zealousness to protect them from the downfall of Korach, rebuked them sharply, Rav lochem b'nei Levi. Moshe Rabbeinu criticized, Rabbeinu Shalom criticized Moshe Rabbeinu. It's in the Medrash. You spoke to them harshly, Rav lochem, Mida Keneged Mida, I'm going to tell you Rav loch when you're asking me to enter into Eretz Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu did it to save the Bnei Levi from going down to Sheol. He was in his zealousness to protect the Bnei Levi. He said to them, Rab Lachem Bnei Levi. But even when a person is an angeton, sometimes people have such righteous indignation. They're an angeton in gute Sachen. But you can't. The Rebbe Shalom said, you spoke to them harshly, Rav Lachem, I'm going to tell you, Rav Lach al Toisev Daber Alai. Elai. It's an interesting chidah in that, by the way. The chidah said that Moshe Rabbeinu had a tradition, a Messiah, that if you say no twice, it's very powerful. That's why when he was mispal for Miriam, he said, Kel na refa na la. To say no twice is very powerful. So when he was mispal in V'eschanan, he was going to say no twice. Ebra na ve'era es ha'aretz. And he was going to say no again. But Rebbe Shalom said, Ravlach, no. I'll tell you if I don't want to hear another no. I don't want to hear it. Why did Rebbe Shalom tell him Ravlach? Because Moshe Rabbeinu in his zealousness said Ravlachem. People get carried away in their zealousness. It's a very dangerous thing. I saw people, they were fighting for a good cause. They wanted that there should be shtika b'tefillah. It's a very good cause, shtika b'tefillah, quiet in shul. Tosis Yom Tov said that the Gzeirus Tach V'Tat happened because of talking in shul. If it wouldn't be for the Holocaust, we would be talking that the most horrible thing that ever happened to Klal Yisrael was the Chmielnicki Holocaust. The peasant revolution. They did terrible things. They took the president of the killer's head, cut it off his body, sewed the head of a dog to it instead, and marched him through the street. They were maniacs. And it happened because people weren't respectful in shul. But just because you're doing that, it doesn't give you the license to speak lashon hara, to make machlokes. It's not a free for all. You have to be careful what you do when you're in the mode of kanais. Va'ish Moshe anav ma'id mikol ha'adam asher al pnei ha'adam. That Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble of all men on the face of the earth. Now Moshe Rabbeinu had many milas. He was so selfless that he was able to say, Mecheni na mesifrecha. If you don't forgive them, erase me from the book. I wish he was so selfless. Moshe Rabbeinu had so many. We know how sensitive Moshe Rabbeinu was. He gave up everything. He killed the Mitzri. He had such a noisei ba'olim chaveirei. Moshe Rabbeinu had so many, but the Torah highlights this one midah. It emphasizes how important is the midah of humility. There's a Tosfos in the 12th parak of Yevamos. Many people don't get up to learning Tosfos in the 12th parak of Yevamos, so they don't know the Tosfos. But over there, Tosfos says, he quotes a pasuk, Ekev anava yiras Hashem. Besides humility is awareness of Hashem. Malamed sheshneim shkulen. To teach you that they're both equal. Now this, to me, this Tosfos is like, whoa! You hear this Tosfos and you jolt up. Humility is equal to Yiras Hashem. Yiras Hashem is everything. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ma Hashem shoyel me'ima kiyam liyira. Soif Tovar, I call Nishmas, Elikim Yeraki, Zek Kol Adam. Hein Yiras Hashem Chachma. And Taisa says that Anava and Yiras Hashem is one. Shkulin. Wow. Wow. Now it could be that one way to understand this incredible Taisvus is that Rabbi Avigdor Miller, Zechat Tzadik Levracha, Schusi Yogan Aleinu, he would always say that humility and Yiras Hashem go hand in hand. They depend one on the other. Because the more a person is aware of Hashem, then the smaller he realizes he is. So therefore, since nobody saw, was aware of Hashem like Moshe, that's why Moshe was the Anamayid Mikolad. It goes hand in hand. That's a nice way of looking at this Taisus. But it could be that there's another way to look at this Taisus. You see, Yiras Hashem means that whatever we do, we're aware of Hashem. Like it says that B'chol drachecha da'ehu, we should, in all our ways, acknowledge Him. Rav Moshe said, when you eat, everybody says you eat l'shem shemayim, by saying I eat in order I should learn better. I should be stronger to work for my family. Rav Moshe says, when you eat, remember mishulchan gevaya kazachar. Remember you're eating Hashem's food. B'chol drachecha da'ehu. Humility when a person is humble, that means that he's not doing things for his own self-aggrandizement. Or in English, he's not doing it, it's not ego-driven. He's not doing it that people should think he's special. He's not doing it that he should feel successful. He's humble. That's not important to him. So why is he doing it? He's not doing it for himself. He's doing it because that's what Hashem wants. So Anava translates into Yiras Hashem. This is an idea that I heard from a man, Reb Eisen, who had the schiyah to learn. He's a father of a chavrusa of mine in Yeshiva Staten Island, Yossi Eisen. So I used to learn in Yossi's house. Ben Azmanim, he would learn in my house. And I met his father. His father learned in Baranovich. So his father once told me this word over from Rabbi Elchanan. Rabbi Elchanan said, it says in the pasuk, Hatznei aleches im Hashem elikecha. Walk modestly with Hashem your God. So Rabbi Elchanan translated the pasuk as follows. If a person is Hatznei aleches, if a person doesn't need people to know what he's doing, he gives tzedakah privately. He learns in a corner, nobody sees him learning. Then you know that im Hashem elikecha. Then you know he's walking with Hashem. Because you see, he doesn't need the recognition. I believe that's the meaning of Ekev Anava Yiras Hashem. When there is humility, then that's a sign that the person is doing it because he's a Yorei Hashem. Humility It's even hard to work on humility because, you work on something, you want to say, I acquired it. Humility is not to say I acquired it. It's hard to work on something like that. I got this crown too. Humility is so important that it's the very first lesson that the Torah teaches us. Now, there's a very big kasha. The Torah starts Bereshis bara Elokim. It's very easy to cause people to be nichshel. Really, the creation was ex nihilo, yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. But Bereshis bara Elokim sounds that Hashem created it with the rashis, with building blocks. That's why when they translated the Torah by Talmei HaMelech, this was one of the switches they made. All 70 of the Chachamim made the switch. Instead of saying Bereshis bara Elokim, they said Elokim bara Bereshis. So that people shouldn't make a mistake to think that Hashem took rashis and He created the world. So Taka, why doesn't the Torah start Elokim bara Bereshis? Then the Torah would start with an aleph, like there says Hadibras. And the Medrash says, Kol mokom she'ata motzei gedulasai sham ata motzei anvesinusa. Wherever you find Hashem's greatness, there you find His humility. Hashem did not want to start the Torah with His name. So you hit a gedula that Hashem created the world. Hashem taught us in the beginning of the world, the very first lesson, the importance of humility. By the way, on the subject of Yesh Me'ayin, I remember when my first Rebbetzin, Miriam Liba Basar Baron, was very sick and was taking chemotherapy. So I would say Tillim with her. And when we say this Shir Lamalas, Esa Einai Elohorim Me'ayin Yovoi Ezri, Ezri Miyem Hashem Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz, I told her this vart and it gave her a lot of chizik. Lo Yaleinu, she had pancreatic cancer, which in the Derech HaTeva there was no cure for. Lo Yaleinu. So I told her, why does it say Ezri Me'em Hashem Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz? Because when a person says Me'ayin Yovei Ezri, where is the help going to come? Ezri Me'em Hashem Oisei Shemayim V'Oretz. Hashem made heaven and earth, something from nothing. So you can't say there's no cure. Hashem made heaven and earth, something from nothing. He could bring a cure for this too. Now this Anova, in Pirkei Avos it talks about all the midos. Nowhere, anywhere in Pirkei Avos, except by humility, does it use the phrase ma'oid ma'oid. No, it says ma'oid ma'oid evei shval ruach. Now it could have just said a person should be shval ruach, of a humble spirit. No, ma'oid. It could have said ma'oid evei shval ruach. That's not enough. Ma'oid ma'oid evei shval ruach. You could use this. If you're upset about something, you have some hurt pride. So say it says shvel ruach. Yeah, but this is bad. But then say ma'oid. But yeah, but this is really bad. So then you say ma'oid ma'oid. Ma'oid ma'oid evei shvel ruach. This is the Midas Tzadikim. I gave it the last 2 weeks of my shul. I gave a series on the secrets of Jewish words. And I gave as an example matzah. Now besides that, matzah stands for Mikol Tzara Hatzileni. Sailors even would keep a piece of afikomen on the boat the whole year. Mikol tzar atzileni. But matzah is a symbol of humility. Chametz is a symbol of pride. That's why chametz, tzemach, to sprout, same letters as meitzach. Meitzach ishadzai, the brazen. The lowly matzah looks up at the high meshachala and says, "Why are you so puffed up? You have the same ingredients as me." Just you waited 18 minutes. I said, "What are you so puffed up about? We have exactly the same ingredients." Matzah denotes humility. That's why matzah has a tzadi in the middle. The tzadi represents the tzadik. And on either side has a mem and a hey, which is ma. Like Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Nachnu ma ki salinu ala." Who are we? Me'anu, mechayenu. Who are we? What is our life? That's a tzaddik. A tzaddik has mem and a hey on either side. Ma, what are we? A tzaddik is surrounded with humility. I saw a very wise saying. I don't know. It might be a secular saying. We don't need seculars, but I saw something that's a good thing to remember. Because people shouldn't mistake humility for low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is not a good thing at all. A lot of problems with low self-esteem. Rabbi Dr. Tursky wrote many books on the dangers of low self-esteem. Humility is not about thinking less about yourself. Rather, it's about thinking about yourself less. This is a very good saying. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself. Rather, it's about thinking about yourself less. It's not all about you. Shema echad eldad v'shema sheni meidad. So I'm fond of saying, according to the Tag Mianis Menazil, the more accepted pshat is that when Amram separated from Yocheved because they were killing the babies, and as Tosfos says in Bava Basra, he therefore instructed anybody that was already Mekayim Piri V'Rivya, like him, he was Mekayim Piri V'Rivya, he already had Aaron and Miriam, to separate. So they separated. Yocheved, who had this miraculous power all of a sudden to give birth, married Eltzaphan bar Parnach, who was not Mekayim Piri V'Rivya, and at the age of 129, she miraculously had twins, Eldad and Medad. And their names were after the miracle that at 129, she was able to nurse twins. And therefore, Eldad and Medad is to a breast, Dad is a breast, and Medad, in whose breast, is after the miracle that she was able to nurse twins at 129. That's one shot in Eldad and Medad. It's interesting that there's a completely different shot. The Daz Canaan Balei Tosfos says that Amram at Har Sinai, when he heard that you're not allowed to marry an aunt, Yocheved was his aunt, he divorced Yocheved and married another woman, and from that woman he had Eldad and Medad. And the Daz Canaan Balei Tosfos says that they found a grave on the Matzeva. It says, here is buried Eldad and Medad, Achei Aaron, Mina Ov V'Lo Minayin. And the Daz Kanim says that that's a completely different pshat in Eldad and Medad. Because because Moshe Rabbeinu was married to Doidasai, or Medad, whom was married to Doidasai, and therefore he had to get divorced and married another woman, and therefore they were born. Completely different pshat, completely different pshat. L'maisa, this pshat is a pella atzuma. It's a Dazaken Balitais, but it's a pella atzuma. Because it means that Amram was miyotze Mitzrayim and was by Har Sinai. Now, traditionally, we learn that Moshe Rabbeinu came down to Mitzrayim after all those years, and it says that Aaron, who he's coming to take over from, v'rach v'samach b'libay. But if Amram was still alive, what was Aaron doing the leader? Amram was still alive. And if Amram was still alive, what's Moshe Rabbeinu taking over for? He's taking over for his father. None of this is written. It could be that Amram was old, he was sick, but it doesn't say it anywhere. No such information. It's a pella atzuma. I want to conclude with the following thought. It's already late, but I want to say one more thought. But before I do, I want to say that the past 2 weeks, no one came forward to sponsor the main Chumash year. And it had to be sponsored internally by each week by one of my Talmidim. We know we have, for the Chumash year, over 1,000 listeners. We ask someone to step forward, take a week. Sponsorship is $360. 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. The Tedaber Miriam va'Aaron b'Moshe al oidos o isha hakushis asher loka, ki isha kushis loka. Miriam and Aaron spoke about Moshe on the matter of the isha kushis that he took, ki isha kushis loka. Now the Welt learns that the issue was that Moshe was Pirish from Tzipora, and Aaron and Miriam felt they were also Nevi'im, and they didn't separate from their wives. That was the issue. But the Rekeach, one of the Rishonim, learns it was an entirely different issue. And the Rekeach says the Isha HaKushis was Tzipora's mother. And the taina was that Moshe Rabbeinu came from the family of Melucha, the reigning family of Klal Yisrael, Amram. Why did he take the wife of a Goyish minister? At that time, Yisrael was a Kayanite. The Isha Kushis was Sipporah's mother. And even if he did take her in Midian, why, Achar Shilucha, after he sent her away and she came back, why did he take her back? The Rekeach says that Moshe Rabbeinu said, I took her in Midian. I was a fugitive. Paro wanted to kill me. I never thought I'd get back alive. So he was very grateful to marry a righteous convert like Tzipora. And to why I took her back, Moshe Rabbeinu said, a woman that was there before me in my distress, will I send her away because I prosper? I'm loyal to my wife. Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem said to them, and it's amazing the way the Rekeach learns. Hashem said, how could you talk about Avdi Moshe? B'chol beisi ne'eman. Throughout my home, Hashem's home is everywhere. He's trusted. Says the Rekeach, a man who's loyal to his wife, b'chol beisi ne'eman. You have to know that the very first thing we say about the Eishes Chayil is Botach Ba Lev Baiba. Her husband has trust in her. He doesn't know about anybody else. They might stab him in the back. But his wife, he knows his wife is loyal. A husband has to be loyal to his wife. He never speaks behind her back. He defends her to the hilt. The Torah says, Zvekis, two places. It says, Avoy Sidbak, to cleave to Hashem. And it says, V'dabak be'ishtay. Loyalty. Loyalty to a wife. Children have to see that if they say something not nice to their mother, the husband, the father acts like a lion coming to the defense of his wife. They have to learn loyalty. Same thing a wife or a husband. And by the way, this is very important in second marriages. Sometimes children behave foolishly in second marriages. They think they're doing the right thing in defense of a deceased parent. It's not the right thing. They think they're doing the right thing. Maybe an unmarried child, we could dan l'kaf schus, but a married child marries a second wife, a second husband, have to be very loyal. Absolutely important. Torah says you're loyal. Hashem says such a person is b'chol beisi ne'eman, is a rekeach, a very important rekeach. I want to thank you very much for joining us. We thank the Rubin family and our anonymous sponsor, and have a wonderful Shabbos.